that reporting. Really appreciate it. Joining us now, CNN chief political analyst Gloria Borger, also Bloomberg senior columnist and Trump biographer Timothy O'Brien. He's the author of Trump Nation, The Art of Being the Donald. And here with me, CNN chief legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin. Jeffrey, I want to start with you. This letter from Mazars, is it wrong to read into it? This is tantamount to them saying Trump lied to us?
I think that's the only logical implication that you can draw from this. But remember how accountants deal with clients. The way it works is the accountant says, give me your financial data, and we will turn it into a tax return, a financial statement. But they rely on the candor and honesty of their clients. And what this letter says is that we can't rely on the candor and honesty of this client, the Trump organization. Now, who prepared the false information? Who knew information that had been provided to the accountants was false? That's not disclosed here. Was it Donald Trump himself? Was it lower level people in the organization? Not at all clear. But what is clear is that the numbers were wrong.
Common to do, to cut ties?
Super uncommon. Very uncommon. And by the way, the Trump organization's comment that this somehow vindicates them is nuts. I mean, it's quite the opposite.
So, Gloria, you know the pushback is going to be this is an investigation being run by liberal Democrats out to get Trump.
Sure.
Can you lop an accounting firm that you've worked with for decades into this, a bunch of liberals out to get me pot?
No, look, the accounting firm just fired their client, and they said that it was based on information from what they called internal and external sources, meaning we have done an investigation, and for the last decade, we've been telling you stuff that we now believe is no longer true. So try, as the Trump organization might, to blame this on Letitia James or politics or whatever else. Mazars has been their client for 10 years, represented them for 10 years. So suddenly, what are they going to do? Turn on the accounting firm? I mean, I think it's very difficult for them to do that. And if you're investors at some point looking to invest somewhere down the road with the Trump organization and this has occurred, why would you ever do that?
So, Tim, you've written about the former president's finances for a long time. At one point, he unsuccessfully sued you for what he claimed was a lowball description of his net worth. Did you ever think you'd see a day when Mazars just dumped him?
Actually, no, only because Mazars has been representing Donald Trump for longer than 10 years, and I find it rather mysterious why they're saying they suddenly decided something was amiss here. We deposed the predecessor firm, Trump's accountants, that Mazars acquired. Mazars has represented Trump for much longer than 10 years. It's over 2 decades at this point, I think. And Trump said during my deposition that he had given me these statements of financial condition, and I ignored him. Now, he never gave those to me, but they produced them during litigation. And the documents we received during litigation in the mid-2000s, Mazars said in those documents that we're not going to sign off on these as conforming with GAAP, generally accepted accounting practices, because there's not enough here that makes us comfortable. They knew it was problematic long before a decade ago. The difference then was it wasn't the New York Attorney General and the Manhattan District Attorney raising these questions. Mazars said in the letter today that they filed that one of the things that convinced them to leave Trump in the dust was because of New York Attorney General Letitia James's January filing, in which she laid out a number of examples in which Trump had inflated his assets. Well, that's not new. Trump was doing that 20 years ago, and Mazars, I think, had reason to suspect then. But now they're exposed to the same investigation that's targeting Trump. So I think they're concerned about whether or not they've got criminal or civil exposure as a result of these investigations. I think the other practical implication of this is that Donald Trump is also in the midst of trying to refinance hundreds of millions of dollars in debt because his business holdings are under pressure, and his accountant just walked out the door. So the financial pressure has accelerated on his company, on him, and on his children. And Trump is going to have to start to scramble to find people who want to lend him money now and are comfortable doing business with someone whose own accountants don't want to work with him.
Jeffrey, pertinent to both the civil investigation, which is from the New York Attorney General Letitia James, and the criminal investigation, which is from the Manhattan DA?
Yes, it's relevant to both because the core allegation that both are investigating is that Trump inflated his assets, that is, submitted financial statements that were unduly and inaccurately large when he was trying to borrow money, and submitted financial statements that were unduly small, lying too small when he was being taxed. That's at the heart of both investigations. All of those submissions to the banks, to the tax authorities, were prepared by these accountants who have now said, don't rely on these documents.
So, Gloria, I guess the $1 million question, or maybe it's the $300,000 question, depending on who's doing the valuation. The question is, what will this do to Trump politically as he positions for the 2024 race?
Well, look, Trump supporters are Trump supporters. I think the question is for Donald Trump right now. The question is, how serious is this for him, personally, financially? And given what's going on with the January 6th committee, he has a whole other circus going on there about accountability on January 6th. And so I think the question is going to be what happens in the state of New York, first of all, and then you'll have to see what happens. His supporters will be there, but we have to really give this a little more time to play out.
Tim, we got about 30 seconds left. I want to give you the last question here. Trump was deposed as part of your case right there. Just a reminder of viewers, how many times do you think he lied during his deposition under oath?
Well, we caught him out lying about 30 times in that deposition on everything from his financial dealings to how much he got for speaking fees. He is pathologic on these sort of things.
10 seconds, Jeffrey.
I think the point Tim is making about his financial condition, he needs to borrow money from someone. Who is going to lend money to someone who doesn't even have an accountant? And who will be his accountant will be now?
And I think that's bad for the kids. It's really bad for Ivanka and her brothers, who presumably would want to carry on the Trump organization beyond him.
Gloria Borger, Tim O'Brien, Jeffrey Toobin, thank you all.